Okay, welcome to today's Industrial Sage episode. I have Ed Brown, who is the CEO and founder of Topper Industrial, a manufacturer in Wisconsin. Ed, thank you so much for joining me today.
No, my pleasure. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. So, Ed, real quick, I just wanted to, sit down and just have a chat with you, just to get an understanding of how you guys are handling the whole COVID situation. What things look like on your end. But before we get into that, I kind of want to set the scene.
Yes.
For those who aren't familiar with Topper, you tell me what you guys do and where you guys are located specifically and all that good stuff.
Well, thank you. Topper Industrial is a full-service steel fabricating company that about 20 years ago got involved in building industrial carts, and it's kind of taken over our life. Our company is decent size. We have about 100 employees right now. We're located about 20 miles south of Milwaukee, and we consider us fortunate during this very difficult time. Not only has Topper not experienced any of the coronavirus cases at our shop particularly, but even in our home community, Racine County, there's not been a major outbreak. So we're actually pretty lucky, and we're still up and running with some changes.
Sure. So, all right. So for those two, if you want to know, we had an interview with you, and that was released. I don't know, probably a couple months ago,
Yeah.
maybe January, February. So any viewers who would like to go see that, we did talk to went in depth about back. Actually, a really interesting story about, was it your junior, your 11th grade or junior?
Senior high school teacher.
Senior high school. Yeah. So I don't want to spoil the story. I'll have to go watch that, on the other episode. But I really enjoyed that. Okay. So, you mentioned you obviously got some changes. What's going on in your neck of the woods?
Well, to try to keep our operation as safe as possible, my son has taken the company, and we normally are a one shift operation. He's divided into two. So about half of our people are on the second shift, and I'm fortunate to have two sons. One runs the second shift, one runs the first shift. Um, we did that to keep our employees very far apart. They're probably 25 to 30 feet between all of the people working. We've rearranged our lunchroom. We took out a bunch of tables. We put it down to 30 tables. There's one chair per table, and we split breaks. We split lunch, so people are 15, 20 feet apart at all times. All of our office staff, except for a couple, we bought computers. Everybody's working at home. I'm working at home. The day that the gang came into my office and handed me a new computer, said, "Go home. We don't want you here." I almost cried because I've never been kicked out of my company, but they said, I'm 71 years old, and this Corona stuff is bad on the older people. So they said, we'd feel a lot better if you just go home. And I thought it was going to be easier. It's harder. I don't have 6 fabulous designers at my disposal. I'm doing everything myself, and I'm not as good with the computer, although the last 3 weeks been a learning experience. And here I'm operating with the famous Danny Gonzalez all by myself. So we're making headway.
Oh, you're making great headway. All that, one of the things that people talk about, we've talked to a lot of companies, and you touched on a big thing there that a lot of people said, we're kind of being forced to use new technology that we otherwise, wouldn't have done. And there was a learning curve, but what are some of those, what are some of those other learning curves that, you've kind of had to go through from a technological standpoint?
Well, the thing is, Danny, I think it might affect the overall operation of the company going forward. I never thought this many people could be as productive and effective working at home as not 20 feet down the hall. So I go talk to them. I talk to all of our people multiple times a day. We're working on a number of projects. While the world has experienced this mess with the corona, many of our customers are pushing hard for things that are going to happen yet this year. Installations of equipment in the summer, in the fall, and before Christmas, so that we're very, very active. Surprisingly, I actually was so naive. I thought I could go home and goof off half a day after I accepted the fact they didn't want me down there when it's been worse. I'm working till 10, 11 o'clock almost every night on trying to keep up with engineering and quotes. There's a lot going on. And I feel bad sometimes saying that because I know friends of mine, their businesses are shut down and they're struggling. And we are operating at a disadvantage I would say we've lost 20% of our people to a variety of the corona-related problems. A number of our employees, their wives are nurses,
Mm.
and they have no child care. So the employees, those fabricators, those welders, those painters are at home, just like I am, taking care of their children. And the president, I think rightfully so, has issued some kind of an order that you still have to pay them 75% of their regular wage, which is not a problem. We're glad to do it. Money's not the problem at all. But productivity is, and we're probably 75% of what we normally getting out because of the crazy arrangement. And it's not been a problem from customer satisfaction. All of our customers are very understanding, and everybody knows a number of projects got pushed back a month because of it. But we're surviving and we're getting along. It's just a different time.
Yeah, absolutely. That's certainly, yeah. I mean, I think it's a familiar challenge. I think a lot of companies are going through, from a labor standpoint that, maybe they don't have coronavirus, but as you mentioned, there's effects of that. And obviously you guys are very fortunate to be able to continue in operations. I think you had mentioned it was either before we started recording or during that, you are in the state of Wisconsin, you guys are deemed essential. You guys
Right.
are a key supplier to several different customers that they're essential, and they're
Oh yeah.
they're there forth. So
No, it's the interesting thing is some of the drawbacks. We recently bought a new tube laser. It's a pretty expensive machine that it's been installed for probably 2 months, but about the time the company was going to come connected, the Corona thing broke out, and we have a piece of equipment we can't even get up and running. We don't know we're going to get running. It's affected some orders. Is that in that the equipment gives us capabilities we wouldn't normally have without it. Up till now, only one customer has canceled on us.
Hmm.
A fairly good order, but it's canceled. I'm sure it'll come back. Maybe 4 or 5 were put on hold, and we've got a number of them that we finished, but we have to warehouse them because they're not open and receiving. So there are a variety of challenges you deal with, but in the scheme of things, Danny, it's good. We're surviving, and we're looking forward to this mess being under control, and hopefully can find a vaccine so we can go back to whatever the new normal is, something better than this.
yeah, absolutely. Certainly, hopefully, a much better new normal than this. What has been sort of the morale of the company?
Good. We've got a great group of people. There are a handful of people that are terribly more afraid of this than I am. Don't get me wrong, I respect it, and I'm doing my best. My wife and I are both senior citizens, and we don't want to tempt the fact that our immune system can handle it or not. Some of the people just they had to go home immediately. They had to quarantine, and that's fine. We want them to feel safe, and that we all worry about the second phase of this mess, and I'm not sure where it's going to go. But by and large, 80% of our people are happy from my perspective. I go to the shop, and the afternoons when between shifts, I can visit my office and pick up on a few things I can't take completely away, but
Yeah.
I do wear a mask. I'm very careful, but I think by and large everybody's pretty happy. Although we're all scared. I mean, we've had in Racine. I know this sounds small compared to New York. I think we just had our ninth death over the weekend, and a couple of them were young people, 30, 35 years old, and
Yeah.
sickening. One of them, it's so sad. He just got married, and the darn virus has taken him away and really disrupted a wonderful life. But I think the company's adapting well.
Yeah. So what are some of the things that, well, you mentioned one, like as far as, one of the things that you've learned through this that you've picked up, and one I think you mentioned was, the remote work aspect, which seems to be is something that comes up a lot. What else what have you seen through this?
Well, the thing I found the most interesting it's been 3 weeks now. I used to do an average, maybe one video conference call a day. I do 4 or 5 a day now.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a lot of things going on, and we do them between ourselves. One of the new things that this is probably so fun, it's fundamental to people that are big on cell phones, smartphones, is that I never used to do video conferencing on my phones, and I do it all the time. And I used to hate being on. I'm not a good looking guy like you, so being
Oh,
on
come on.
kind of bothered me. But I've adapted that, and I actually enjoy it. And from a technical end, I think that all of us, even my super IT people, have gotten well versed on. I'm doing Zoom. A
Yeah.
month ago, I didn't know what Zoom was, Danny. So the technical things have been awesome. I was talking to Donovan in your office earlier today, and we feel bad that I think the old handshake might be disappearing. I'm going to miss that. I've always enjoyed shaking a man's hand firmly, especially when you close a deal or you do a good job for them. That it's a term of like an affection or endearment
Yeah.
that we may be losing. I think in general, I think we're all going to be a cleaner nation. At our shop, twice a day, people disinfect doorknobs and bathroom knobs. And I know this sounds a little bit risque, but our bathroom doors are now propped open to avoid people touching them.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not that horrible. I mean, we all know we have to go to the bathroom, but I'm surprised how we've learned to clean so much more carefully, and we've taken our immune system for granted. I guess there's things we really can't handle. Um, but from a manufacturing end, we're hoping that they will find a cure and that we can get back to where people can work 5 feet apart or 10 feet apart. It would be hard to run our company if we kept it. Everybody right now is 20, 30 feet apart, and
Yeah.
it's okay. But boy, it's tough to be productive and be efficient when you have to work under those kind of conditions. So um, I'm a little nervous about what the future is going to be. I hope they don't change it too much because I like the old one a lot and
Yeah.
don't want it to get too different. But um, I'm just blown away by the technical aspects of even today. I'm in charge of a design, and the guys are having a problem with something. So they took their cell phone. They called me. They showed me what the problem was. I could solve it from my kitchen table. I didn't have to get out of my chair. I got on my desk and walk out. Our plant isn't huge. It's 100,000 square feet, but it can take you 10 minutes to walk from one end to the other. And I think you're going to see a little more of that utilized. Maybe we're old fashioned and not thinking in terms of being efficient, but I'm just blown away how the technology we're still functioning. Once the corona's out of our hair, I think we'll go back to actually a better norm in many respects.
Yeah.
I won't say that, I can't imagine the people that have lost their lives and to this mess when we were looking forward to a really special summer. Now we don't know what we got.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's funny that you mentioned about the handshake thing, because I know you guys were at Modex. I was at Modex. Actually, I kept trying to. I came to your booth probably like 4 times because I wanted to say hello, and every time I made it over, it was like too late or whatever. So, anyways, but so I'm sorry about that. I wanted to say hello, and actually wanted it. Well, I guess we couldn't shake hands then. So,
Now we were already fist bumping then.
yeah,
Well,
just give you a little elbow.
It was. I don't want to feel bad, Danny, but I was looking forward to have a superstar in my booth, but maybe next year.
Oh,
We'll see in Chicago
next year for sure. So, but yeah, that was an interesting thing there, because at Modex, I mean, that was like everyone was like, don't shake hands. I think for me, anyways, I think that was the first time that it was like, oh, we gotta actually do this, and it felt really weird.
It did. In fact, there are sometimes it's impossible to not. It's like when you want to hug your wife or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's an automatic response. The funny thing is, a couple of the people in our booth were nervous, and I said to them, "If you want to go home, go to the airport. You do not have to stay here. This is not that important. If they really." My dog wants some food.
That's okay. All right. I get like that when I get hungry too. It's fine.
That's my wife. That's not my dog.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I don't want. I have no responsibility.
No, I'm kidding.
I'm just.
She's over there giving me a hand signal.
That's funny. No, But yeah, I mean, that was, yeah, it was very, very interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, the whole no shaking hands thing and being, freaked out about everything. And
I was actually pleased that we got it in.
yeah,
I was afraid they were going to shut it down and kick us out. And as you know, we all spent a fair amount of money and time getting ready for that.
yeah.
And we had a pretty productive show. Not, and so we were pleased with the outcome, and I'm glad they stuck it in because our life changed the week after that. It was all over.
Yeah, exactly. Well, one of the things that we heard from a lot of people there at the show, almost overwhelming, that yes, attendance was way low,
Yeah.
but that the people that actually were there, like a lot of the conversations were a lot more meaningful. So there were a lot less tire kickers, and more people that. Did you have that experience?
We had a half a dozen awesome meetings, and we actually combined the opportunity. Our major caster supplier is a company called Blickley, and they were able to do a hospitality night at their
That's right.
facility, which is right outside, and it worked out really well. A number of projects that were in works, people came, so it was a productive show. Not like we'd hoped, but we were pleased with it. We felt we got our money's worth out of the money and the time we spent preparing for it. So I'm just glad they pulled it off. If this Corona thing had started a week or two earlier, they would have canceled it, and I don't know what would have happened.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, there's a well, there's a lot of money goes in that show, and
Yeah.
you hate to see it wasted.
So do you guys typically do a lot of trade shows throughout the year, or is Modex
Nope,
from
just
that?
the two major. We used to do about 10 a year and
Okay.
do local ones, but um, it's a lot of work, and it
Yeah.
didn't yield the results. And the truth is, between the internet and the shows are kind of icing on the cake, and I think that social media and everything else we're doing is really what we're 90% of efforts. The show is just a once a year deal that we do to kind of spearhead all the marketing efforts we're doing. But uh, the world's out there. All you do is turn on your computer.
Yeah, exactly. So, well, that's interesting there. So, moving forward, crystal ball. All right.
Yeah.
When we get out of this thing and we're looking at the new normal, whatever that is, okay, what are some of the changes that you see in the industry? Like, maybe not just I mean, it could be for Topper specific, but just in the industry in general. Do you see any changes that are going to happen because of this?
Uh, the 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 business that we do was changing in terms of, our industrial carts are primarily pulled by a tugger,
Hmm.
but there's been a huge push to go with AGVs, and I have more projects now with AGVs than we do with tuggers. So I don't know if it was timing, but it just seems like that's the way of the future across the board in terms of product and what we'll be doing. We'll still do the old. I mean, there are a lot of smaller operations that can justify and don't need the AGV, but I can't keep up with quotes and the development of what we're doing is really fun. Um, Topper Industrial is looking for people, and I'm not going. For maybe for the last year, we couldn't find welders to save our life.
Mm.
We were actually setting up a second operation in a second building, and we just had rented the building, and the Corona thing broke out. Uh, Once they put stay at home, it's virtually impossible to find people.
Yeah.
We're looking for a couple of engineers, electrical people, and so forth, and all that's being done on a video conference like you and I are doing right now. And it's kind of nice because wasn't long before this that we would pay them to get on a plane and come to Topper, and I'm still more comfortable doing that. I won't kid you.
Yeah.
To get to shake a man's hand or a woman's hand, to look them in the eye, and there's still a lot of value there for me. Um, I think Topper was about to put an addition on the shop. Nothing big, about 25,000 square feet. We've kind of put that on the back burner just to be sure
Sure. Yeah.
that things are going to be back to a busy normal, not a slow normal.
Right.
Uh, But Danny, I really can't gauge what the new normal is going to be for us as a business or our customers. But I can tell you this: we're prepared. We're confident. We think we have the ability, no matter what it is, that we will be able to respond and provide good service and hopefully get things back to open up and back to where we were. We like the old normal.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, on that note, I have one last question. Have there been any new things that you've picked up, not work related, maybe a new hobby or I don't know, reading, or is there something new that you've picked up?
Yeah, one of my granddaughters turned 13 about a month ago. We bought her a horse,
Oh, okay.
and that horse is in my backyard.
Uh, okay, so you just got a new
Yeah.
pet. All right, okay.
Well, can you imagine? All the kids are out of school for the rest of the year. I
Yeah.
have three granddaughters that all love horses, and they're one's 11, two are 13, and they're out there right now. And I'll go out there and check on them. I mean, they're very capable young people. But um, I also am a car nut, and I've been restoring a car that I actually thought I could take advantage of this my new norm, where I'm kicked out of my own office to get something done on my car. Although the car is almost done, and I know this is going to sound silly, but I'm afraid to drive it around the block because I know that other people don't have it as good as I do, and that they're experiencing real problems. And until the travel order is lifted and we can go back to norm, I don't want to drive the car and seem flamboyant or any kind of thing bad. But yeah, I'm looking forward to some when things get to where I can get quit working in the kitchen at 4 or 5 and go goof off a little bit. I'm looking forward to it. But there's plenty out there to do when you're on a farm between we don't have any animals except those horses, but there's plenty to do.
Well, it sounds like you've been keeping yourself very busy, and you know what, Ed, you are a great man and a great leader. I just the fact that what you said there, your sentiments there about with the car thing. I mean that's awesome, and that shows that you really have a deep empathy,
Well,
and I imagine that your company loves their leader. So
well,
you know. Yeah, thank you for sharing, with me and everyone else here at Industrial Sage a little bit more about like what you guys are doing, more about you.
yeah.
I think it's valuable. I think it's important to share what other people are doing, and so maybe we can learn from each other.
Well, I hope it helped. But we're just trying to adapt to whatever they throw at us, and if you don't, there's no other options. You have to, I guess. So
Yeah.
we're chugging along, and always good to talk to you, Danny, and share what we're doing. We're proud of what we're doing, and we'll be glad to share it anytime we can.
Well, Ed, I really appreciate it. Thank you again so much for the time. And for anyone who is interested, they want to check you guys out more. You can go to topperindustrial.com. Is that the website?
That is correct.
Okay.
Topperindustrial.com.
Perfect. All right. Well, Ed, thank you so much. Have a great day. Enjoy the horses and the grandkids.
And you guys stay safe. Take care.
Sure. Well, thanks. All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.
There you go. That's today's episode of Industrial Sage with Ed Topper, who is the CEO and founder of Topper Industrial, a manufacturing company in Wisconsin. Just kind of sharing their experiences and what they're going through and the things that they're learning through. Ed, if you haven't, Ed has been a veteran here on Industrial Sage, so we interviewed him back in January or so. So you can go check out his episode and learn a little bit more about them, what they do, and he has a pretty cool backstory. Great guy. So thank you so much for watching or listening to today's episode. I'm Danny Gonzalez, and I'll be back next week or next time. It might be sooner than that. I'll be back with more content from Industrial Sage. Thanks for watching.